All right, we're back here with Arrowhead Pride. We are back breaking down the Chiefs draft. You joined us hopefully earlier when we reacted to the Chiefs selecting Trent McDuffie with their first round pick, trading up to number 21. But they stayed put at number 30, and now they are here on the clock. We are awaiting their pick. I'm Ron Cobb Jr., Rocky Magana here with me, Jared Sapp and Matt Stagner as well. Don't have the whole squad with us. I don't know where the other guys went. They gotta get back on here to get the instant reaction. But appreciate you joining us. Saw McDuffie go off the board, so we got starting cornerback off the board. But they're gonna have a little bit of a selection of edge rushers here, aren't they, guys? Any of them stick out to you that you really want to see them go after? Because there's a few of them here. Anyone, go ahead.
I mean, obviously the high upside guy is David Ojabo, but you're looking at possibly redshirting him his rookie year, and I don't know if the Chiefs are in a position where they can stash him for a year, especially with the draft capital they gave up for McDuffie. So, I mean, I think you're probably looking at Ebiketie or Mafe from Minnesota. I think they like Mafe just because of the reports that we've heard coming out. So I'm going to lean Mafe here, but I mean, it could be anybody as far as these top edge rushers go.
Jared, what do you think? Are you thinking edge rushers are another position you're maybe kind of curious about? What are you feeling here at number 30?
I think we're going to find out how George Pickens' visit actually went with them, because if they like him, they've got to take him here with the run on receivers that we saw earlier, because there will probably be a big run on the remaining receivers to start tomorrow night.
Man, did the comments just break it to us? Rocky, you see that one? You see the comment?
No.
Is that your guy? I'd not confirm.
No way.
I just saw one comment. I
mean, if they went with my guy there, I would be really happy. But I mean, he's been sliding in mock drafts so much recently that I don't think that's a thing.
Well, who's your guy, Rocky?
Oh, Cameron Thomas, edge rusher from San Diego State. I think he's a poor man's kind of TJ Watt type of player. He plays with immense power, not the bendiest guy, but he can go inside, outside as far as 3-tech, and also play at the edge, and an excellent run defender.
Now I think Justin Thompson in the comments might have just pulled their leg a little bit, because now he just said for second round. So I don't know if he was just saying that's who he wanted in the second round. That scared me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
That'd be a reach.
That would be a reach. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it feels like somebody you can get later for sure.
Yeah. Stags, I didn't hear from you though on what you're thinking with these edges right now. I know there's kind of a little bit to like about every one of them. Maybe not one of them particularly, but what are you thinking right here?
It's high upside, either edge or receiver here. I think you're looking for an impact player. At one of those two positions, and you've got a couple options there. I'd be really tempted with George Pickens here. I think Ebiketie would be another nice choice. Yeah, you're right. There's been a lot of talk around William Mafe, which is, again, another player that has some upside. So, from that group, watch it come out of left field. Watch it be Christian Watson at this point. Again, I'm looking for a home run swing here, and I wouldn't hate that one either.
Yeah, and that's a point that's a point I really like that you made to me when we were kind of getting through. We're doing our dream draft. Is that you're right. What is the point of taking that or not taking a swing on wide receiver one, just taking another kind of just a guy as a receiver, like maybe what you could think of as a Jahan Dotson or a Sky Moore, maybe. No, go for the swing. Go for the George Pickens or the Christian Watson. We got enough complimentary receivers, got enough wide receiver 2s or 3s. Let's try to get that wide receiver 1 in the first round. And if you can't find that wide receiver 1, you don't like your options for a wide receiver 1 prospect, then you wait for the second round to maybe grab some complimentary receiver types. But if it's going to be a receiver pick here, it has to be a swing, right?
It has to be Pickens, I think. If you're going to swing big. Obviously, there's a character concerns in the injury with Pickens, but just pure talent-wise, he's the best wide receiver in this draft, in my opinion. I like him better than I like Williams. I like him better than I like Wilson or London. He's a guy who moves differently on the field. He looks like that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of wide receiver.
So Matt and Derek just tweeted out the pick. Does anybody want
to? Bags, you have the floor.
So with the 30th pick of the NFL draft, as completely expected by all, the Chiefs take George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue. My guy, I don't know, I'll let you guys weigh in, but go ahead, Ron.
So, George Karlaftis, yes. This is a guy that we all just, from the get-go, I think we all saw as a guy that, like, if they pick him, we can see it right away. We can see him start a defensive end. He's kind of, I think we all try to say he's a high floor guy. I think Stags has challenged us on that, which I appreciate, because obviously, we don't want to have any groupthink here. And I've appreciated Stags' honesty about what he saw from Karlaftis, because there is a reason to, that this isn't a super exciting pick. It's not an exciting pick. He's not a guy that showed the bend like an Abikadi in college or the freak athleticism. He's a pretty good athlete, but not the freak athleticism of Boye Mafe. He just seems to be a really solid player, and I think that will help day one. Now, he is a young player. He's a young football player, so there is some room to grow, but I think that's kind of where maybe a lot of people have hesitations about him. That's why I want to get your guys' takes too. Is there room to grow, or is he a low ceiling guy in a high floor impact? Is this cliche about him, this stereotype about him true? I know what Stags kind of feels, but Rocky, Jared, if you guys have any takes on Karlaftis, just what do you feel about kind of a, maybe not the most exciting pick, but maybe a really solid pick, maybe?
I mean, if you're gonna take a guy like Karlaftis, you might as well just wait till tomorrow and take Cameron Thomas. See? I mean, they're the same style of player. Cameron Thomas is 2 inches taller. Cameron Thomas has a better vertical. He's more athletic. Karlaftis, for all the talk about his strength, is only 6'2". He's not an extremely large, as far as height-wise goes, defensive end. I mean, he can set the edge. I'm sure he can, he can do some run defense. But I think that we needed a guy who can consistently get home against the quarterback, and we don't have that guy still. Like, that's still an open need for the Chiefs right now, as a guy who can rush the quarterback. We were near the bottom in sacks last year in the league. We were near the bottom in quarterback pressures last year. We did not have a reliable pass rush until Melvin Ingram came along, and that was halfway through the season. I mean, we had Chris Jones on an experiment at edge for half of the year. It was our edge play last year was horrible. And we needed a big swing here, and we got a safe play.
Yeah, they definitely were safe.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I did the film review on him, and again, I've been putting myself out there as pretty negative on this player, and again, not because he was a bad college player, because I think he was a good college player. Right. I'm just concerned about what I saw on film and how it might translate to the NFL. He's not a bendy guy. He's not a speed rusher. He's not going to get the edge. He'll set a hard edge. He can bull rush a little bit. He had a lot of pressures, and he had a lot of sacks that came late in the rep, late in the play. So he's a hustle player, a try hard guy, very high character. Definitely young in his football career. So if there's upside there, it is in sort of the skill aspects of his game. I just don't see him ever being a pass rusher that's an impact. I want to go so far as to say he's your Alex Okafor replacement at this point. And that is I know that's a little harsh for the Chiefs' first round pick, but he's going to be I think he's going to be a lot like what Frank Clark has been over the last year or 2 years. Generally reliable, generally doing his job, but you're just not going to notice him that much in a positive way. You might not notice him in a negative way either, but I don't see him as an 8 or 10 sack guy. I don't see him as definitely don't see him as a double-digit sack guy. Mm-hmm. I've been saying on Twitter, I think he's a 4 to 6 sack a year guy. And so you just got to set your expectations to say this is somebody that's going to be there day in, day out, going to take a lot of snaps. He's going to get some pressure on the quarterback through bull rushes, and he's going to get some sacks late in the play where he's cleaning up after somebody else. So, that's what you're getting. And again, you know what you're getting. It's a safe, reliable pick. They took McDuffie, who's seen as a pretty safe player as well. So they definitely have gone against my draft strategy where I said we should be swinging for the fences. They've definitely hit a couple of singles, maybe doubles here in the first round.
Yeah, that's fair. I think McDuffie. I think we do have to give them credit for McDuffie. I mean, he's a cornerback that we all kind of thought would go top 15-ish. So I think that's a little bit of a, they got him at a good value, I'd say. Karlaftis, on the other hand, I guess since they didn't trade up for him, they didn't move up for him, you could argue that it is good value because I do think I want to give him a little more credit. I mean, he's going to come in and start at defensive end opposite Frank Clark right away. I don't think Mike Dana is going to be the starting defensive end, at least, maybe in situations, maybe they trust Dana in certain situations, I guess. But I think Karlaftis sees the second most snaps with the way the roster is constructed right now. At least, we could see maybe another move for edge rush. That's another thing we could talk about here. Maybe does this motivate them at all to go get Robert Quinn more now that they didn't get any edge rush juice out of their first round pick? Do you guys have any reaction to that?
I almost wonder if they're going to just re-sign Melvin Ingram now and call the position good. I don't know that. I don't
call it good. You don't think another draft pick at least besides that?
I could, if they take another edge rusher, it needs to be more of a designated pass rusher type. I mean, I'm not mad about the Karlaftis pick. I think he's going to give you competent starters reps as a rookie at an important position. I mean, that's not terrible value for the 30th pick. I think some Chiefs fans kind of have become a little disillusioned over how great of a player, how exciting of a player you usually get this late in the first, but they're going to have to compliment him. I like the McDuffie pick because I think you can pencil him in as your cornerback, and if that's the last move you make, you're good. I don't hate this pick, but you definitely have to do something more with it, at least by the end of our picks tomorrow.
Yeah, Ron, to your point though, Robert Quinn might be a nice compliment to what he brings, because he's somebody that can be your designated pass rusher, and you don't have that in Mike Dana or the other guys on the roster, and you certainly don't have it now with Karlaftis. So, I would love to see them take a Rush Sam or a designated pass rush specialist, in round 2 or 3 at this point still. But at minimum, if you get a day 3 trade for Quinn, then your room's shaping up, in a pretty solid way. I've been joking that Brett Veach earlier in this offseason said we have a lot of work to do on the defensive line. He didn't say they wanted to improve it. They just said they had work to do. And that work could have been re-signing Frank Clark, re-signing Derek Nottie, bringing in Karlaftis, and then maybe bringing Ingram back and calling it a day. So, they've done some work on the defensive line. Is it better? I don't know.
So when you talk about Robert Quinn, though, you got to start talking about the draft capital you're going to have to give up to get him. And I mean, he's a guy who's on the wrong side of 30, and if you're going to give up pick 62 to go get him, then you got to be asking yourself, is there a better use of that draft capital with players that are still on the board, with it coming down to this point where, Ebiketie, Ajabo, we talk about Cam Thomas, probably not going to go with the same type of player back to back, but Boy Mafe all still being on the board as you start to trickle down towards 50. Do you think maybe that's a better use of your draft capital than going for a guy who's already, 32 years old and going to cost you $16 million, I think, something like that.
Yeah, so, no, he does cost quite a bit. That is the thing there, and that's why you'd like it to be a 3rd or 4th round pick if you can. But
well, I saw that was the asking price reported was a 3rd, probably a late 3rd, and if that's the asking price, maybe you get him for a 4th. And I think that's a good investment at that point. And I don't think the contract was actually that bad. I don't remember seeing all the details, but it was definitely manageable. I think it was somewhere in the 13 range.
You can go year to year with his contract. I do wonder, since he's coming off of an 18-sack season, he might see how Chandler Jones and how Von Miller did, as pass rushers in their 30s, and he might want a new deal as a part of a trade. That's a risk you're taking when you're looking at a guy like that.
Yeah. So, well, that's the thing. Okay, so we're talking edge rush. We're talking what they could kind of do here now, but they did make the pick. They did pick George Karlaftis. We need some grades from you guys. I'll start with someone not named Matt Stagner, so we can maybe get on a more positive note. Who has the most positive grade? Come on, who can give me a positive grade here? I'll start. I think at number 30, I think not trading up for this player. I think the thing that's really bothering me is the other options available. I would actually. I think I would take Mafe over Karlaftis. I rank Karlaftis higher because I do think he's probably probably more of a sure thing a little bit in terms of just being a competent quality player. But man, I think I'd rather take the swing in the first round. So that is where I'll probably drive this down a little bit. I'll say B- because you did get someone that's going to give you starting reps right away, someone that's going to eat snaps at a position that's super important, as we've talked about. It's just not the most exciting. Again, man, imagine if they would have got Abikady, I would have been bouncing off walls. So I'll say B- because I do want to give them credit that they've added 2 defensive starters at positions that they needed starters before we started today. They got that done. I'll give them a B-. Someone else. Let's see how high we can get on the grades. Does someone have anything higher than a B-?
Yeah, I gave it a B.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, what you said. I mean, you're getting someone who's NFL ready, who's going to step into the field, and he's going to be probably one of your starters. There's good value in that, and yeah, you didn't trade up, you didn't give anything up for him. You let him come to you, and I think that was the right play with Karlaftis. He wasn't a guy that if they would have traded up, I would have been a little bit more upset. So I'm okay with it. I think they got 2 guys that are going to instantly improve the defense. 2 guys that are going to be around for a while. And I mentioned earlier that Karlaftis didn't necessarily check off the pass rush need. He does provide stability there, but again, you still need to get better as a pass rushing team. And maybe you find that later on in the draft. Maybe you get a steal in Sam Williams. Maybe you land somebody else later. But yeah, I give it a B.
I'm going to go B-. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Rocky.
Go ahead. You got it.
I'm going to go B-. And again, I don't hate the player, and I hate for Karlaftis that he's going to get a lot of Breeland Speaks comparisons because I don't think that's right at all. I think he's going to have a much better career than Breeland Speaks. I'm going to give it a B- just because I would have liked to see the Chiefs be a little more creative. I do like Karlaftis better than Boye Mafe. If it's between the 2, I probably take the sure thing in Karlaftis. I would have liked to see the Chiefs be a little more creative and maybe go with Ebiketie and pair him with a Josh Paschal or a Cam Thomas tomorrow, who I don't think there's a big gap between Karlaftis and them. So I like the player. I would have liked to see the Chiefs be a little more creative. I do think there's value in getting starters reps at pick 30. So I'm going to give it a B-.
Okay, so as someone that backed Derek Stingley quite a bit, we talk about guys that had crazy freshman years, right, and maybe have dropped off since. Karlaftis is in that same range. I'm actually looking at the stats right now. You guys know, as a true freshman, Karlaftis had 17 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks in the Big Ten.
Yeah. So that was a stark difference when I was watching games of his. 2019 film versus 2021 film was dramatically different. So he missed most of 2020. 2019, he was lean. He looked faster. He didn't look like he knew what he was doing as much, but he was playing with some reckless abandon. In 2021, he looked like a very controlled player. Definitely strong, definitely knew what he was doing, but didn't have the same sort of flying around the field, the reckless abandon that I saw. Still played with a lot of effort, but it was more of a strength game. So that was one of my concerns too, is that it looked to me like he bulked up a lot from 2019 to 2021, and he lost some agility in that. And I can't verify that. I don't have that information in front of me, but that's what it looked like when I watched him.
Did you give him a grade?
I haven't yet. To quote Jared, I don't hate the player, I hate the game. So I don't hate the player, I hate his game. I don't think it's I don't think it moves the needle for the Chiefs at all. I think he's somebody that, like I said, is going to he'll play. He's your starter. You're right. There's nobody else that's going to start above him. But you're not going to notice him that much on game day, I don't think. I would love to be proven wrong. I think I've said that before. He seems like a very high character person. Had a really interesting life. Started playing football later in life. Moved to the United States as a teenager after the death of his father. A really interesting guy. Does everything the right way. So I'll give him a C. And again, the value there is getting a starter in the first round. You got a starter. You got 2 starters now in the first round. But again, it was exactly what I expected to happen, but what I was hoping wouldn't. So.
Yeah, I know, Stags. I know. Well, hey, I'll tell you this much. Maybe we'll end on a positive note here as we get out of here. George Karlaftis in 2021, he earned a pressure on 16% of his pass rush snaps. That is a pretty damn good number, I will say. That is a pretty high number. I know pressures aren't always the end all be all. As a Chiefs fan, I think we know that. You got to finish him too. So, and he obviously did not finish him as much as last year, maybe as he did as a true freshman. But we'll be optimistic. We think Karlaftis has a chance to give us really high quality play right away in terms of just being a starter. We will see how that goes from there, right? We will see if that progresses into something more, or if he is going to be this low ceiling player. So we will see. That is what the beauty of the draft is, seeing what they do, evaluating these picks before we ever see them put on a Chiefs uniform or a hat. But that's what we do at arrowheadpride.com. Make sure you stay tuned into the site. We're going to keep live blogging the draft. We're going to keep getting, you'll see my profile on George Karlaftis real quick, obviously come out. Stags was the one who wrote him up for the site, a very in-depth analysis. Make sure you go check that out. We'll make sure we tweet it out and see and make sure you guys see that. But guys, it was fun. It's been fun. We will probably catch you guys all tomorrow as we break down the Chiefs round 2, round 3 picks. For Rocky, for Matt, for Jared, for Talon, my name's Ron Kopp. And keep following the site, keep following Twitter, keep following all our draft coverage. We really appreciate it. And we will catch you next time we go live.